Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And I know I say this for a lot of people, but y'all don't even know I practically didn't sleep last night knowing that I was going to be talking to my guest today, because I have known Matt Drinkhahn, Coach Matt Drinkhahn, for 30 years, y'all. I've known this guy forever, but in a good way, in a really good way. So you may not know who Coach Matt is, but I do. So let me share a little bit about Matt. He is the father of 3 young ladies, happy husband to his queen, Julie. Oh, God, I love that so much. And it totally fits you. He's had 130 million in career sales, 2,500 employees, direct reports, and independent contractors as part of his business. And now he helps recovering perfectionists to keep things simple and grow their businesses while doing it. And this is what I'm really excited about. He has now started a podcast, and he is the host and executive producer of the Eternal Optimist Podcast, which launched in 2022. Oh, I'm so excited. So welcome to the show, Matt.
Boom. Thank you, Jennie. I much appreciate it. Oh, meatloaf. That's our safe word, because I would do anything for business, but I won't do that.
Not that. Nope. Oh, great. Now somebody's safe worded me. First time. It only took 150 episodes, y'all.
Well, I safe worded you. I feel very safe, and I feel great about having this discussion today. And it is a real thrill to reconnect after this number of years and to see, all the things that have happened in both of our lives since then. Just, it's a real thrill and honor to be here today, Jennie. So thank you for the invite.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It was really interesting. I got to catch my own breath here, because seriously, I'm not even kidding you. I was super excited telling my boyfriend last night that I get to talk to you. And he's like, "You don't get excited for anybody but Jack Canfield." I was like, right. That's a big deal, right? So, because I do like talking to people. I do. But Matt, one of the things that I don't know that you know is that you are part of my story. Not just in that we knew each other in high school, but you and I had a conversation a few years ago. We were talking, and I think we had reached out to connect just to see what was going on in one another's lives. I was killing it in my direct sales business. You had just gotten into or had been coaching for a while. I don't remember. And I remember you asked me a question. You were like, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And I remember my answer to you shocked me, because what came out of my mouth was, I either want to coach or be a chiropractor. And one of them is way less expensive to get into.
Yes. That's a great question. I mean, I think that everyone should ask that question themselves on a regular, recurring basis. Like, what do I want now? What do I want most? And ask yourself, are you moving towards what you want now or towards what you want most? And you are moving towards what you really wanted the most. You wanted to be a coach. Yeah. And from what I can see from your podcast, from your website, from the way that you followed up, you're doing a damn good job of it. So I'm glad we had that conversation. If I could play any part in your journey, I'm just happy to hear that. That's great.
Oh, no, you're absolutely part of my story in so many different ways that we just don't have time to go into.
Well, we could go and tell everyone in the crowd about the Twister experience back in high school. Because yes, we were in high school together in Indiana back in '93. Yeah, I remember that. We were playing Twister at your house with your sister and our friend Chris. What's up, Chris? If you listen to this, good to see you, bud.
Oh God, I'm so tagging him. Yes. I'm telling you.
I see him sometimes now online. He's into cars. He's got all kinds of different facial hair. And I remember him back in the day. He was one of my best friends back in high school. I think all of us were really good friends living there in the circle together. And I remember fondly the Twister days, even riding the bus together. And when we got cars and driving to school together, there were some good memories there.
Oh, you guys all got to drive before I did. That was sad because it was okay, but I didn't get to learn to drive. I didn't get my driver's license until after I moved. It was crazy. Anyway, I digress. As you, the listener, can tell, we have history. So tell me, let's catch people up on your story, right? So we're in high school together. We go our separate way. We reconnected in college because thank God for the internet. We were able to reconnect. And then what happened? Where'd you go in life after college? And give us the overview of life for you.
So from the time that we finished knowing each other for that time period in life in 93-ish, I went on a journey to become a professional golfer. Everything around me was, I want to be a pro golfer. I went to college and wanted to play pro golf there, got cut from the team the first year. So it wasn't going the exact right way. And then as I'm getting ready to be 1 year away from graduating, I'm realizing the only experience that I have in the whole world right now is cutting grass on a golf course in the summertime, going door to door and selling magazines, not even for money, just doing it so I could earn a Nintendo system back in the day. I waited tables in college. I didn't have any job experience in the resume that I thought was a good backup in case the pro golf thing didn't work out. And, since I wasn't even on the team and I wasn't traveling to varsity matches once I made the team, my last couple of years in college, I figured might as well get some experience. So I'm riding the back seat of a car on the way to the Waffle House at 2 a.m. in the morning. I'd had a couple of adult beverages. I'm 21 years of age, and I see a sign on the side of the road that says summer work, $11 per appointment. And I called the sign, and before you know it, I am now selling Cutco cutlery, working with Vector Marketing. And I did that as I finished up my junior year and went through that summer. And I absolutely fell in love with sales. I love the unlimited opportunity for income. I love the flexibility. I love I could be myself. I love that I got to go and learn something new about people every time I did it. And I've always had a product that I sold since day one until this day we're in right now that I completely believed in. It's the best product of its kind. And I still believe those Cutco knives are fantastic. So I did Cutco for about 6 years with great success, made a lot of great connections, relationships, made a good income, impacted a lot of lives, recruited a bunch of people, all of that, did great at that. And then my dad died. And that was a little bit shocking and jarring. So I took some time off. I read in his diary that my mom gave me and said, read this. And he said that his only regret is he wished he could have caddied for me in the pro tour. So I got out of Cutco. I went and tried to play pro golf for real this time at the age of 28. I had money, so a little bit of sponsoring myself to try to do that. And as it turns out, I did not do very well at that. And after spending most of the money we had, I had to go and get a real job after 30 months. 30 months. So I went to corporate America, got my real job for someone for the first time in my life. I went to work for a company called Clear or Clearwire. And we ended up selling internet services and phone services, and did a lot of business with them and opened up several of their big offices. And then one fine day, the House of Cards thing that happened on episode 1, season 1, happened to me, where I had to go and lay off like 15 employees in a span of a few hours, and I was told this the day before. And that was very challenging. That's the way the world works sometimes. And that was the hardest day of my professional career. And a month later, I got laid off, and that was challenging, but it was also very positive because I saved a lot of money. I was still single at the time. I was living in Boston. Things were going great in life. So I was actually kind of relieved and thrilled. Came down here, worked down here in a corporate job for 3 years. Still love the people of this day. I've got great relationships there. I decided I got the itch to be an entrepreneur again, and I had, my money was up. I'd met Julie, my wife today. I almost said my wife today. She's my wife forever. So I met Julie, fell in love with her, and we got married. And before you know it, now I start a coaching business, and it's 8 years ago. And now the coaching business is thriving. I'm a top producer in a company that has about 150 coaches in it. And been that way, been in this company for 8 years, coaching recovering perfectionists and highly functioning workaholics. You want to keep things simple. So helping them focus. Awesome. And what that really means is I coach CEOs and leadership teams on how to bring the culture into their team, on how to be transparent, real in their communication. And of course, the business side of it, how to keep focused on the most important stuff. and that has been thriving, and I'm very grateful to do that. And that brings us to today. I think that catches us up.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. And so with all of this experience, because you've been on the entrepreneur side, you've been in the direct sales network marketing side, which is amazing because that's who's listening to this show right now, are entrepreneurs and direct sales and network marketers. How did you end up deciding to now start a podcast? What got you going in that direction?
Couple things. Number one is that I feel always positive as a result of being in sales for so long, where I had call reluctance, I had the fears come in, the overcoming objections, everything that goes into the mindset of an entrepreneur and a sales professional. I had all those fears and all those challenges. And I was coached, and I had good leadership around me and a good support system around me, thank God. And they have helped this self-esteem and this belief system build over time. And as a result of this, I wanted to get back and add some value into the world, because the world today, I see this lens of the world as being so much more advanced, so much more positive. I mean, people are living longer, people are happier, people make more money. If you look at the news, if you look at social media, that's not exactly the story that we're being told out there. The most curated story is negativity. If you watch the news every day, which I haven't watched the news in a decade, I couldn't tell you what's going on every day on the news other than 10 to 1 negative to positive. And I want to be a force for good in the world and help people to see that there is a silver lining. You just need to shift your lens, the way you look at things. And to see that lens, I created the Eternal Optimist Podcast to be able to interview successful people. And success can mean people that have done it in business, in their family, in their community, in their church, people who've overcome addiction, you name it. I want to interview someone that has a challenging story where they are overcoming or have overcome something really hard, so everyone else can see out there. And to your audience specifically, direct sales folks, entrepreneurs, those who struggle with any type of internal challenge, self-talk, self-deprecation, whatever it might be. Others have done it, and you can do it too. And I want to spread that message passionately and for the rest of my life. And that is my mission in life, is to spread this message of hope and that you can do it too. Just learn how and learn the skills necessary to, in the real world, above the waterline, structure your business and your life the way that helps you do that. And then under the waterline, behind the scenes in your brain, learn how to speak to yourself, coach yourself, soothe yourself when you need to, so that you have the fuel in the tank to go after what you want. So that's what our podcast is all about in a nutshell, is hope, and you can do it too.
Oh my God, I love it so hard. Because my badass.
That's what she said.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Because my badass crew listening here, they know that I am an eternal optimist. I'm always looking for the silver lining, always looking for that.
Oh yeah.
It's not surprising. I've always been that person. You've known me since I was 15, right?
One of the reasons I love you, you've always been that. You've always had a way about you that I would call you, there's two types of people out there. There's the energy vampires that suck it all out of you and you don't want to be around them. And then there's the people that just enhance and add value and give you energy. And just seeing your name and seeing your artwork on your podcast, and within seeing you in 2 seconds, I felt like I was 15 again, and I was really happy. I couldn't explain it, but I was just really fired up about it. And that's the kind of people I want to surround myself with. That's the kind of people that it's my imperative to help spread that radiance to others, so that their radiance can be greater and brighter than their darkness. We've all got darkness.
Oh yeah.
But I want to coach and help people bring that radiance out.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Because here's the thing, people have said to me in the past, or have posted on social media, surprise, surprise, that somebody can't possibly be that positive. And, they think it's like a Pollyanna, everything's through rose-colored glasses. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute that you think mine are rose-colored. Mine are lavender.
Well, I love what you're saying, because that is the common misconception about an optimist. And I'll go a step further and say an eternal optimist. An optimist is someone who might see things through a positive lens. That does not necessarily mean that everything is all rosy and that we are not also realists and we can't see like the real stuff going on. No, that's BS. We can see the real things that are going on. I would go a step further and say an eternal optimist is someone who sees things through a positive lens. And the eternal part is they're constantly trying to figure out how they might take some of that challenging stuff they see out there and convert that into an opportunity, or see the hard stuff and convert it or transfer it into something that they can use to impact themselves, impact the world. I have a list of my core values up here behind the webcam. And one of those, it says, I'm hungry for progress. I always want to constantly be learning as to how today's challenges can be tomorrow's opportunities. Like, for example, in sales, if you get a no sale, if you get someone that you thought was going to be on the hook, they were going to buy the biggest package you had to offer, and they ended up saying no and ghosting you. It's happened to all of us. Well, how might we learn to convert this process that caused someone to go away and ghost us into something that has less ghosting and gets them to say yes in the first place? Or how might we learn to qualify them better in the first place so that we can get that ideal client in here? So everything is a learning opportunity. It's not a setback unless we just stop in our tracks. It's only a setback at that point.
Yeah. So, and I think too, the eternal optimist, or at least the way I look at it, when someone ghosts me, I dodged a bullet. Like, that's my silver lining,
absolutely.
Right? Because if they're going to ghost me, they're probably ghosting other people. And that explains why they're having difficulty in their business and they're not ready to make that change. Right. So I see it as, hey, one less person that I need to follow up with. Awesome. Right. Like, I think that whole glass half full thing, right, that you also have as your logo, which I totally love, by the way, that glass half full piece, what I think people miss out on is it's not just that optimists see it as glass half full, but the glass is refillable, y'all. I saw that meme on Facebook one time and I was like, oh, that's, yep, that's me. Because that's not my idea. I'm not going to claim that idea, but I own it, if that makes sense. I live that. It's about knowing that you can pour more into the glass. It's refillable.
Love it. And I'm a big yes and person. You don't hear me say but very often. I love the yes and. So I'm going to build on top of what you just said with hopes you might build on what I'm going to say. And what I would say when you're talking about it's refillable, I would say that we as people are refillable, and how you might structure or move forward refilling yourself might be, what is your way that you're consistently learning? Best practice for me is that I've been practicing. My friend Hal Elrod introduced me to the Miracle Morning 7 years ago. I've been doing a Miracle Morning for 98% of the days ever since. So from 4:30 to 6:20 every morning, 6 days a week, I will get up and I will do the exercises in that book. And this is how I consistently learn from my mistakes. It's how I reconcile the challenges that come at me. I'm literally in a laboratory every morning, which is my den over there next to Peloton. I'm literally in a laboratory every morning working on my game. And if anyone out there truly wants it, whatever it is for them, if it's wealth, if it's financial freedom, if it's flexibility, if it's more time with your kids, whatever it might be, there is a way to get that. And that involves figuring out how you might best learn, how you might best take wherever you are right now and just get 1% better each and every day, each and every month. And that would be one way that I do it. When you say refillable, I think refill through constant learning. Yes. How would you build on that, Jennie?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Yes. And.
Yes. And.
Right. Huge. I think with that, not just the learning piece, but the implementation, because information minus implementation is just information. Information plus implementation equals growth. So taking what you learn and actually putting it into practice. So you just said, I read the book Miracle Morning, my friend Hal Elrod, which really your friend? Or do you just call him that because you read his book? I got it out.
He's a friend. He's a front row dad, personal friend, awesome guy.
Oh my God, I would so love to meet him, by the way. So we'll save that for another conversation. Anyway, I read the book. Love it. But the implementation is really the important piece, because learning is great. Yes, 100%. And put it into action. If you don't put it into action, then what did you just spend time doing? Whether it was reading the book, attending your convention, because this episode is going to go out right in the middle of direct sales and network marketing convention season. They all have their conventions in summertime. So people are either coming out of convention time or they're getting ready to go to their company's convention. If you don't put it into practice, that time you spent there was wonderful and you connected with people. But if you don't take what you learn there and put it into practice, why? why did you even go, you know?
1,000%. And here's a real life example of how that might look when you put it into practice. I remember when COVID started a couple of years ago, I actually was kind of scared that, this coaching thing, this may not be like paying your employees or keeping the lights on. So I might have some people to leave as clients. And I thought this might be challenging for the business. It turned out to be the exact opposite. Now that it's now that it's changed, because people want some feedback and an ear and strategy. But I would say this: when it happened back on March 19th, roughly, I started to put what you just said into play. I started to make a plan to reach out to. My goal was to reach out to 3,000 people, and to do that as quickly as possible. 10 weeks later, I'd reached out to 968 people, and I had 254 people that had actually responded back to me. So if you do some quick numbers here, reach out to 968, 254 respond. That means that over 700 people that are in my first degree warm market didn't even respond to me. So for those of you out there in direct sales who are wondering about and fearful of how might they perceive you, that's the first thing we get rid of right away. Because I had people in my first degree network, like over 700 didn't even respond. Well, guess what did happen? 254 did respond, which led to 51 conversations, which led to 20 leads that I handed off to coaches in my organization. And it led to 4 ideal new clients for me. And my business doubled that year as a result of some of that positive, proactive reach out. Right now in the podcast, another example, brand new podcast. We're 7.5 weeks in. We got a little bit over a couple thousand, about 2,400 and something downloads so far, 2,500 downloads. And I'm not sure how it's going to grow from here. You told me your numbers earlier. I aspire to that. So how might I make that happen? Well, it's not by thinking about it, right? It's by a consistent implementation. The way that I'm implementing right now, my goal for the third quarter, which I've already started, 21 reach outs a day to people in my warm network that I haven't talked to in more than a year. That's 1,800 reach outs for the quarter. That's how I started the podcast, by my first 500 reach outs. I'm going to do 1,800 this quarter, and I've got some big name guests coming on. So I am expecting it to grow. The target is 25,000 downloads for the quarter. That's what I want. So we'll see how we do on that. But ultimately, you are 100% right. You got to think through your strategy and you got to implement. In fact, I'm more of the ready, fire, aim school of thought now. And that's what keeps a lot of us on the sidelines, is we aim so long that we don't take action. I'm feeling you're an action taker, and I am too. And that's one of the big keys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's so funny that you bring that up, because one of the episodes that I did a little over a year ago, and I was just talking to one of my clients about it, is an episode called Ready, Aim, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I got that from my dad, because that's apparently a thing in the military that they talked about, is all these people who, would get ready and they would aim, and then they just wouldn't, whatever word you want to put in there, pull the trigger. They wouldn't fire. And that ready, aim, getting ready only does so much, right? There's a reason why in the world of direct sales and network marketing and MLM, ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I've never heard that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, you've never heard that? Oh my gosh. Ignorance on fire. That was me when I started my direct sales business. I didn't know what I was doing. I keep all of my social media posts, memories, like visible to me, so I can see the mistakes I made on social media 12 years ago when I started my direct sales business, because I want to be like, oh yeah, I came so far. Thank God.
Yes.
I want to see the mistakes I made, so I can show people, like, look, I made it to number 1 in my company. My team made it to number 1 in the world, even with me making mistakes.
Yes.
Thank God I'm not perfect, because, oh man, how could I ever teach anybody how to be perfect? I'm not. I'm still, to this day, make mistakes, screw up. It's all good, because each one of them is a learning opportunity. So, but yeah, the ignorance on fire is so important, because those are action takers.
Yes. You're making me smile and laugh. I'm thinking about, I actually started this podcast 4 years ago. A friend of mine and I, Brian, we actually recorded the first few episodes, and we went back and had a bottle of wine and watched them and laughed our butts off. They were so boring and disjointed and didn't know where it was going. And it took some time to crystallize the thinking. And this has always been priority number 6 or 7 on the list. Right. So it never really got right front and center. That's another thought, is that If you've got 9 different things that you're focused on, all of them are getting just a little bit of it, then you're not really making much progress. Why not focus on one thing and go all in? It's that ignorance on fire on one thing. And then when you grow your skill and your discipline, then you can focus on multiple things at once. But I love the idea of, the ignorance on fire, knowledge on ice. I've written that down. I'm going to start using that in my practice right away. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have no idea where it came. I got it from my mentor when I was active in my company. Her name is Mary Grace Lewandowski. And I know she got it from somewhere, probably Jack Canfield, because she quoted Jack Canfield more than anybody else. And that's where my love of Jack Canfield really started. So, oh my gosh, love that guy. Man, I got to interview him and oh my God. He's amazing. Anyway,
what was the most amazing part about that experience in interviewing him? I'd love to hear a nugget if you have one.
The most amazing part was hearing how he handled the switch in COVID, because he actually, at the beginning of 2020, had almost $1 million in live events coming up that year that they had to cancel. He had $800,000 in contracts that he had to let go. And he's got a staff. He's got employees that he had to pay. What did he do to make sure his employees got paid?
What?
He went into network marketing.
Wow.
Right?
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Talk about validation. Like
whatever it takes to serve your people.
When Jack Canfield says, "Oh, I need to make money," where does he go? Network marketing. Brought his team in, got them all started, trained them up, taught them how to do network marketing the way that Jack Canfield does it. And now they were making money, plus he was making money and turning around and taking the money that he made from them, from his team, and paying them with it.
Absolutely.
Because he's like, I don't need it. My team needs to be paid. So that's how he made sure that he was able to still continue to pay his people. And I was like, I loved you before, but now I love you more. I didn't think that was possible. But because I keep my Success Principles book right here at my desk. For those of you, you're not watching this because this is not a video podcast, but I'm holding up the Success Principles book because it's literally right here. But yeah,
Jennie,
so
I'm curious if no one's watching it and we are recording and I can see you, I know that we're recording the audio. What do you do with the videos? Do you put them on a YouTube channel, or is it just for us to?
It's so we have visual cues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, totally. No, it's because otherwise what I have found, because I have auditory processing disorder, which I did not know until about 5 years ago, but I need the visual cues. It helps me read people's lips. And then that way you can tell when somebody's really done with speaking. And that way my editors, right? You guys are getting to hear the backside of this. Like we're pulling back the curtain and showing you how podcasters work, right? The video goes nowhere, literally goes nowhere. I don't do anything with it because I don't edit video. I don't have the time, the wherewithal, the choice. I don't choose to. I tried doing a YouTube channel, and you can go find me on YouTube. Nobody watched it. Nobody went and found it. My audience listens to me on podcasts.
Found your sweet spot. Yeah. Love it.
So the video for me goes nowhere. I literally delete it to save room on my computer. Yep. So
thank you for that. Thank you. And it goes to reinforce that you focus on what you're best at and you grow in the area where growth is possible for you. And if you're getting feedback that, this is the place, you're a master at this already. So yeah, go that way.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Way.
I appreciate that.
Don't get diluted.
I know. I love that. So what I want to help the Badass Crew do now is, because here's the great thing about podcast listeners. Podcasts are like Pringles. You can't have just one. If you're looking for another podcast, guys, you need to go listen to Matt's podcast.
Wink, wink. I'm winking right now. Yes. Come listen to Matt's podcast.
Yeah, because I know podcast listeners are always looking for the next great one to listen to add to their repertoire. Eternal Optimist is going to be a great one for you. And by the way, guys, you're going to get to hear me on it pretty soon. We don't know when, because we're going to book me on his show afterwards, but you're going to get to hear me on it. So you may as well just start listening now, so that way you don't miss the episode that I'm going to be on. So go check out the Eternal Optimist podcast. We will make sure that we have the link in the show notes. For those of you who are listening to the show for the very first time, here's how you get to the show notes. Grab your phone, as long as you're not driving, click on today's episode, And scroll up just a little bit and you'll see their show notes in there, and you can click and go directly to the Eternal Optimist podcast. And we'll put the links to all the 5 major places. So that way, no matter where you get your podcast, you can find his podcast and you can start listening right away. And then, of course, my badass crew, they already know how to do all that because they've heard me give that explanation like 150 times now. So
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. You have a great voice. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I've been working on
You sell me
this.
better than I sell me. Thank you.
Well, that's how this works. You know that's how that works, right? Like we can always sell other people better than we sell ourselves, right? Because we have no attachment. Right? I have no attachment. I have no attachment about whether or not somebody decides to go listen to your podcast or not. Now, because you're my friend, I really hope they do, but it's not going to kill me if they don't, right? Now, if I talk to somebody about my podcast and they're like, yeah, no, I'm not my thing.
Well, then let me tell you, if you haven't heard Jennie's podcast, which you listen to it right now, it is phenomenal. It's amazing. I've heard 5 episodes so far. I'm going to listen to more of them. I'm actually subscribed to it and I love it. When I see your artwork come up, it gives me a little bit of inspiration just to know that you can be yourself in this world. You can go and crush it, and if anyone out there needs to hear it, then you can do it. You can do it. So
I love that. I mean, my training falls in the realm of NLP, and one of the basic tenets of neuro-linguistic programming is if anyone can do it, anyone else can do it, right? If one person has done it, right? So the story that I tell around that is, how long did it take for the 4-minute mile to get broken? Until 1954 when Roger Bannister did it. Guess how long it took for his record to get broken? Less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
Less than 2 weeks after the 4-minute mile record got broken, they broke it again. And then a week later, someone broke it again. It's continually getting broken. That record is continually getting broken by tenths of a second now, guys.
Wow.
But it took one person doing it because up until that point, nobody believed it was possible. But once people found out that it was possible, it started happening, which tells me it was a mental game. People thought they couldn't do it, which is crazy. So when Matt and I say, if you see someone else doing it, if you see someone else in your company killing it in sales, you can do it too. In killing it in team growth, you can do it too. All of those things that they're doing are learnable skills. These are not innate. And you know how I know that? You know how I know that? Because none of us were born speaking English. None of us could speak English when we were born. True. In fact, none of us could speak or walk or talk at all. So it's all a learnable skill. So if someone in your company is doing it, so can you. You just need to choose to learn those skills.
That's right. Another way we know is that you did it.
Yeah.
And I did it. And if we can do it, believe me, anyone can do it. Because I remember when we were 14, 15 years old, you wouldn't have think we were going to be the sales professionals in the world, lighting it up. And somehow, some way, we found a way.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, and I think it's because we're action takers. And that's something that I think we even had to our advantage even back in high school. We took action. We were not sitting around doing whatever. We did what we needed to do in order to achieve what we wanted to when we wanted to. So we just kept that going. So I think that's really important. But man, now I have to have you back because we have to talk. There's so much more we can talk about here. Man, I could talk to you forever, Matt.
Yeah, ditto. I'd love to. I'd love to.
Well, we'll definitely have you back. And we're going to get me on your show as well because, man, we got to talk more about this optimism thing and I'm happy to tell my story there.
I'd love to. Let's do it. Let's book it right now. And thank you for inviting me to your show again. And it's been great to connect.
Absolutely. No. And so Badass Crew, you guys know how this goes. Make sure you go check out the link in the show notes for Matt's podcast, The Eternal Optimist, or just go search The Eternal Optimist on your favorite podcast app, wherever you're listening now, because I'm sure it's there. I'm sure he's got it all over the place because that's what podcasters do. We make sure that we're findable everywhere.
That's right.
And
pops up quickly and first.
Exactly. Very much so. And Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned because there is another badass episode on its way. Hey, Badass Crew, Jennie B here. I want to start by thanking Gina, Matt, Jessica, and Renee for finding me on social media and connecting with me. If you've been listening to the show for a while, find me on your favorite social media platform. Friend request me and send me a message letting me know that you're a member of the Badass Crew. I want to meet you. Trust me, I will fangirl on you so hard because I love you. So go find all of my pertinent social media links right in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.